Ezrat Hashem. All right, so we're going to complete a little bit, more understanding on the psukim that we learned yesterday in the last shiur. Essentially, we're going to focus back on the psukim from Azikra, from Pasuk Kafchet, Ikra Uneni Velo Ene, right? All the way until the end of the perek. So, part of the punishment is that those three categories of sinners, okay, will be punished, that even if they call, they're not listened, and even if they try, it will not trigger an engagement from Hashem, because they hated the Da'at, they didn't want to choose the Yirat Hashem, they didn't listen to my advice, they rejected my rebuke, disregarded my rebuke, right? So the Gaon explains a little bit more in Hemna Genuza the flaws. So one of the flaws of the pity of the person that is attached to the pleasures of Olam Hazeh, of physical world, and the ta'ana, right? The objection, the resentment that HaKadosh Baruch Hu has towards that type of sinner. He says like this: not only that their behavior is not good, which in itself is a problem, but son'im gam ken derech hatov, they hate the good. So the ta'ana here of Shlomo HaMelech is coming with a dual level of pain. On one end is the actual actions, but also that they hate the good. When you think about it, it's so real, but it's also very, very deep. How many times we find ourselves in situations, ourselves or trying to help somebody else, where you see the person is on the wrong path. You see the person is exaggerating and is drowning in his own way, and you try to talk to them, and no matter what you will say, doesn't knock sense into them. The opposite, they resent you for it, they reject you for it. And we're puzzled. We're like, I don't understand. How is that possible? I mean, it's common sense. I'm saying common sense. Where is the hate coming from? Where is that insensitivity coming from? We don't understand it. But if we try to dive into the analysis of who that person is and what type of behavior that person has, we can know what type of sinner, this person is. And then understand the core essence of his problem and know where he's coming from, if it's coming from the pleasure of physicality, from laughter, or from hate. But the reason why HaKadosh Baruch Hu rejects us, or but rejects one of this behavior, even when the person begs and cries for or looks for redemption, for a solution, is because the person hates the good. And it's not that you didn't know. You knew. Hashem gave clarity, gave hints, gave directions, put people in front of you, tried to open your heart. But no. Velo baharuba. After all these efforts, they still didn't choose to want to listen. Says the Gaon, there is a similarity between the fool and the simple, the one that is driven by pleasures of this world, in terms of their flaws and their motivation. He says the man that's driven by the pleasures of this world cannot let go of the high of the love of the pleasure of the moment. Loving that moment gives him such a high that he's not willing to let go of that. It's like a junkie. He cannot let go of the high of the drugs. The same thing about the fool, says the Gaon. He cannot let go of the high to be interesting in the eyes of the people around him, to feel relevant.
Because he has nothing else at the moment.
Nachon. Oh, the same thing with the petty. The same thing with the simple guy. The guy that's attracted by money, by food, by women, by whatever it is. So let's categorize. What stops a person from growing and being devoted, dedicated, agile, and able to sacrifice of himself to himself, to his own growth, is the attachment to the high of the moment. It's a moment in time that will disappear. But yet, the person chooses that moment in time over growth that stays with him forever. Once I heard someone say something smart. He says, don't borrow and endebt yourself to make a beautiful event. Because the event disappears and the debt stays. So it's exactly the same thing. Don't endebt yourself with the pleasure, because the pleasure disappears and the shamum stays. So, and this is what Hashem is upset about. Why do you choose moment over infinity? Why do you choose the high of a pleasure over building yourself and being pleased to be bigger? You understand the depth of the flaw of the fool and of the simple. However, says that the Gaon explains, the hater is a smart individual. This guy, pleasures of Olam Hazeh, he knows they're coming and going.
The hater is the let's?
The ksil, the let's is the fool. Let's is the one the jokester.
That's the mocker, right?
The mocker. The ksil is called a fool, maybe in the translation.
Yeah, that's why I was confused.
No, I'll tell you why. Because he's a fool that he chose not to be chacham.
Right. וכסיל לא יבין את זאת.
So explains the Gaon, the hater, that's how I want to call him, because at the end it's hate that fuels him. Says this guy is smart, but he's so consumed by his anger and by his hate that he chooses olam hazeh over olam haba. He chooses the nonsense of this world versus things that are more substantial, that will help him. So it's a choice leachis. It's a choice that's made out of hate to make Hashem angry. It's a testimony of rejection, not stupidity. The first two, they're stupid, and Hashem is upset at the fact that they're stupid. Yes, let's not be. We know that we see the result, but the ksil is worse. En lo hana'a bedavar klum. He's not enjoying nothing. El aksil rak mehamat sin'ato lachokma. The reason why he's not connected is because he cannot tolerate, his conscience, his intellect cannot tolerate higher power of wisdom. It's like ga'ava, right? The anger comes with the ga'ava and builds him to a point where he cannot listen. So says the Gaon, onsho kaful. Hashem looks at him and punishes him double like the other, more than the others. So here, and he adds a layer and he says, another reason of the hate and the layer, the buffer that separates him, the chatzitza that separates him from the chokhmah, she'en lo hana'a bechokhmah. He doesn't appreciate it. He doesn't enjoy it. So this is another reason that leads the ksil to be a ksil. Is obviously the hate, but it's also the lack of the fact that he doesn't enjoy, he doesn't allow himself to get a high of the chokhmah. No, he wants to keep it very low, very narrow. And you can, if you analyze, you will find people that are very smart, but they want to play stupid. They want to narrow conversations down to such a blunt and immature conversation that like, but why don't you're smart, open your mind, like you do better. But no, they choose to narrow the conversation and their exposure to chokhmah to a very narrow stream, because that's where they're comfortable. That is an element of the ksil. This is a hater. You negotiate with someone, and you will see he will always take you to a corner where there's nothing to talk about. He pushes you to a conversation that you know it has no head, no tail. It's a waste of time. But that's where he wants to put you, because that's where he belongs. He cannot be exposed to the broader chokhmah. He cannot be exposed to the da'at. So he will choke the interaction to a place where he knows he's comfortable, that will lead nowhere. Because he doesn't appreciate, he doesn't tolerate being exposed to that chokhmah. Another trait of character that we need to keep in mind when we interact with people and we're having a conversation or an interaction that's complicated, that's heavy, and we see that the person drifts to a place where we've been already, and has no, it's a dead end. It's very narrow-minded, if you know what I mean. Any questions? Clear?
Perfect.
Okay. Obviously, then he explains, he says, Lo avu la'atzati, na'atzu lo akol tochachti. They rejected, they didn't want to listen to my advice, they rejected my rebukes, vayochlu miperi darkam, right? So they ate from the fruit of their own actions. And here he adds, the Gaon in the Likutei Agra puts it in a way that it's like, as if we don't give a chance to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. He's like, what do you want? I tried everything. So, when they start paying the price of their actions, right? To each action, there's a reaction, and it's painful, and there's nobody there to help. And says the Gaon, the HaKadosh Baruch Hu says, but what do you want? I tried. How many times did I try? You chose that path. You chose that path. So it's not that it's a punishment. This is what you did, so get that. It's like you're not leaving me a choice. That adds flavor to what we said yesterday. Because yesterday, Andy, you had the issue, right? But wow, the person wants to do teshuvah. Yeah, the answer is, in that case, it's not teshuvah. In that case, they're still in their own path. They just don't want the pain. So says the Gaon, what do you mean the pain? You chose the pain. You chose the punishment. I didn't choose it. You chose it. You didn't give me a chance. I tried to help you, but this is the path you chose. Like somebody that comes and wants to pull the trigger on his head. We tried. We stopped you. We hit the gun. And you go back and you say, well, at that point, the day the guy's going to do it, he's going to pay the price at Malasot, right? It's not that we punished him, it's that the guy punished himself. So it's a place of tsar for HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You understand? So it's very important, that aspect also. It's not that HaKadosh Baruch Hu leaves us or doesn't want, but that's the choice that was made. It's a sad reality and a painful reality, but in reality we need to understand and acknowledge and accept.
It's not really double when you think about it. It's really like you said, the move to get out of desperation when the gun is on your head, you make that move towards Hashem, you're back at neutral, right? Because you're just getting out of desperation. The second attempt is really the real beseeching of Hashem. So it's not double. You set yourself back 2 levels. It's really only +1, right?
In terms of what? In terms of the effort, you mean?
In the efforts.
Yes.
You know, we say double, but it's not really double. It's not like Hashem's asking us to do more. You still have to get to that same +1 that everybody else has to get to. The problem is you starting at -1.
Correct. 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 Nachon. Says the Gaon in the Kitviyad, and if you have a hard time accepting that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will not listen, it's not that he's not talking. It's that you don't really talk. It's because if you were really talking, he would listen. He would be listening. So you talking is really not talking. But right? When you called me, you didn't really call me. You called with the voice of the person that you are. It's still the hater screaming and calling out. It's still the simple screaming and calling out. This is not calling. This is not calling. If you need help from your father, and every time you call, you curse him, he's gonna hang up the phone. The guy's in trouble, deep trouble. He needs help. He's choking. He's about to I don't know. He's going to drown. He's picking up the phone. Where you gonna? And the only person that can save you is your dad. You're still gonna curse? No, you're gonna say, Dad, I'm so sorry. I love you. I made a mistake. Please come help me. But you're not gonna curse him the way you curse him every single time. Says the Gaon in this case. They're calling, they're still cursing. They cannot let go. The svi'ah, they're so filled and satisfied of their ways that they don't see another way possible, even within their own misery. And he says usually a person that takes a poison, if he drinks a poison, it's going to give him a stomachache. He says here, the behavior of the person is poison, but they get satisfied with it. Why? They get so immune by their ways that now the bad becomes good. Yes, Andy. You wanted to, Mechila.
No, please. Can we say so that we don't have unlimited chances? There's no unlimited.
There's no unlimited. There's no unlimited. Meaning, if somebody says, I'll sin, I'll do tshuva, Kadosh Baruch Hu will make sure that he never does tshuva.
Unlimited is not good for us.
נכון. כי משובת פתאים תהרגם, the last pasuk, right? ושלוות כסילים, sorry, the pasuk למד, תאבדם. In the Kitviyad, the Gaon, so we explained that it's so the 3 sinners are so consumed that it becomes a problem in their surrounding, right? They're considered dead, right? Lost, says, what is what? It might sound repetitive, but it's not, because the Gaon brings different facets to the same issue, and we see that Shlomo Melech basically is almost sounds repetitive, but says the Gaon, a person has a choice to make. Do you want Yir'ah v'fachad ve'ol malchut shamayim? Do you want to be connected, or you don't want to be connected? If you want to be connected, it comes with a dedication and an effort. It says the one of the root of the problem is people don't want that. They don't want the all. They don't want to be burdened. This is essentially the root of the problem, of the first two categories. They don't want to be burdened. They don't want to be bothered. They don't want people they don't want to be in a lifestyle that requests effort. Life is a free-for-all. So the Gaon in Chemna Genuzah says, somebody will come and will tell you, all right, listen, so he doesn't have Olam Haba, but Olam Hazeh he has. He's enjoying his life, he's eating good food, pleasure of lifestyle, vacation. Okay, so he doesn't have Chokhmah v'da'at, but he has something. He has Olam Hazeh. Good point, no? It's a good point. It's a good point. The Gaon says somebody can ask this question. A few people, a lot of people asked me, told me that. I'm like, yeah. Okay, so I don't have Torah and Yirat Shamayim, but I'm enjoying this life. I'm enjoying life. So it's okay. They're right. It's a good point. Says the Gaon, it's true, but you're missing one point. He says, when you have the pleasure of this world, you forget what it costs you. It's true. It's like, somebody's giving you a loan, a debt, like a shark. Those shark debt. The guy is giving you money, so you feel good at the moment. That money is in the pocket. But what does it cost you? He says this is the part that is being blocked completely. And he gives an example. Brings the Gemara in Eruvin. He says you have two paths in front of you. One that is flat, and at the end you have to face scorpions, vipers, cobras, tigers. The second, mountain, ups and downs, a climb. And at the end, paradise. Maldives, Fiji, Patagonia. Beautiful sceneries, flowers, food, coconuts, asado, lean. The best, beautiful wine, So what do you choose? Not, it says the Gaon, there's not one idiot that will choose the flat path to end up with scorpions and animals that are gonna rip him apart. He says, when you're facing those ta'avot, this Yetzer Hara, he says, I'll give you an example, a mashal, and always remember it, he says, is that somebody that is going to be executed. But before the execution, they put him in a path with a lot of beautiful songs and smells and beautiful ladies dancing and then food and the beautiful maza, and he goes and the guy that knows he's going to be executed, does he have the head to have the pleasure of all this? Impossible. He cannot enjoy. I can enjoy. The guy knows that in a few minutes he's going to be executed. He says, this is a etzah, this is a mashal that you can remind yourself when you're exposed in front of the Yetzer Hara of one of these three behaviors. Because any bar da'at, anyone with a little bit of chokhmah, will not let go of the end game and the outcome. He says the problem is that people tend to be short-sighted. And once again, focus on the moment and not the end result. And he gives another few examples, but that's the example that is striking. Never to let go of the outcome. Is the outcome, will it be painful or will it be fruitful? Will it be a blessing or not? Such a powerful mashal and etzah that the Gaon gives us. Person wants to, he's about to fail. Remind yourself of the outcome. Now, no etzah is bulletproof, obviously, right? And we should not wait until the Yetzer Hara is like a fire within us, where we cannot control it anymore, to try to fight it. For sure, we should try to fight, but that's much more difficult than if we are prepared and aware of that behavior, that thought process on a day-to-day, so that if Khalila a test comes, it's part of our behavior to think that way. So that etzah that Shlomo HaMelech is giving us, that the Gaon is giving us, is something we need to apply in everything that we do. What is the outcome? Am I working to get executed, or no? I'm going to Gan Eden. And based on that, should I engage or not? That's the Hashlama I wanted to bring, because I thought it was with a lot of flavor to the psukim we learned yesterday.
Beautiful.
It's a very powerful message also about how important it is to do everything with a goal in mind. Everything has
Yes.
to be with a goal in mind. Otherwise, you're walking in the dark.
נכון.
Everything you do. You need to know what this decision, which path it puts me on.
Exactly. Exactly. And based on that, know if it's the right thing or not. And if not, hold back.
It's incredible how the Chachamim, how profound they go to help people that we are not on the, and how deep they go, and they give examples, how much they take care of the psychology of every detail. They have so many issues and they are trying to help people.
Well, that's the
Great.
Gaon Mivina. Huh? The Gaon
Great.
Mivina goes in details like that in every word in the Torah Shebichtav and Torah Shebe'al Peh.
It's beautiful.
This is Ahavat Israel. You see, again, you can sit and learn Torah in your room for years and impact generations. That's the Chafetz Chaim, the Gedolei Olam. The Gedolei Olam, they don't need to travel, and you have some that do that. But you have some that their Torah, they care so much. The Chafetz Chaim, he wrote Mishnah Brura because he cared so much for Am Yisrael. He wrote it for himself, and he said, according to, if I'm this type of Jew, if I'm this type of Jew, if I'm this type of Jew, so what's the halacha here? And he wrote Mishnah Brura. Chafetz Chaim, Lashon Hara. He wrote it because he felt the pain and he felt the flaws. So he went into every type of Jew situation, not situation that he was in, but situation of every. That's Ahavat Israel. That's Ahavat Israel.
It took a lifetime for those Gidolim to give the gift that they wanted to give.
Vadai, for sure. That's for sure.
And
This
they
is not
understood
things
that.
that come up just like that.
And they understood that. It would take a lifetime of toil individually to be able to give the present on a mass scale.
Nachon. But again, like what they wrote, you think they just wrote a book. No, they didn't write a book. They wrote, they on behalf of all Am Yisrael, wrote a book. You understand? How do you call it? An instruction, instruction
Manual.
book in halacha, in musar, in chokhmat chaim. Yeah, Baruch Hashem, Baruch Hashem. So now we can say that we somewhat tried to learn the first step.
Was very useful.
Baruch Hashem.
Or tomorrow or